What's the best question someone asked during a sex ed class? The football coach teacher had us watch The Miracle of Birth on the game tape video player. One kid said, "What if you don't want the baby?" So he hits reverse and boom, the doctor shoved the baby right back into the vagina. This one actually made me laugh out loud. I'm still laughing about it. Best one from the anonymous question box. If you lose your left nut, is your right nut still your right nut? The teacher read it, set the paper down, and after about a minute of silence admitted he didn't know. I think it just becomes the nut, formerly known as the right nut. Year 11th, class aged 15 over 16. Someone to the teacher, "How effective are condoms?" Pregnant girl in class, "Not very. Not the way you use them. They were so safe they were using 2 condoms." 2 good questions from a class full of 5th graders. I was a student in the class, and neither of these questions were asked by me, but I admit, I was wondering about the second one. 1. What if you pee in a girl while you're inside her? Does anything technically stop you from peeing? No, you're physically able to pee while inside her, but know that she'll never let you have sex with her again, so you shouldn't do that. 2. So, when do we pair off to have sex? Do we get assigned partners, or do we get to pick? Because I don't want to get paired up with Stephanie. She's mean. Freaking Stephanie. He specifically said he doesn't want to do that. We had the anonymous question box. Best submission from my grade was, "Is masturbation possible for women, and if so, demonstrate." We also had an anonymous question box. One question was, "Can ghosts have sex?" with 2 poorly drawn ghosts with confused expressions. One was holding his peen. I went to Catholic school. I want to see this drawing. Can you get pregnant by doing anal? After getting his answer, turns to his girlfriend with a big smile and says, "Told ya." In 6th grade they brought pregnant teens to dissuade us from having unprotected sex. One kid asked if it was a vac baby or a bud baby. He did not understand that only one leads to childbirth. Well, don't leave us hanging. Which kind of baby was it? A girl in my 8th grade class asked our health and pet teacher, "If I'm pregnant with twins of opposite genders, is it dangerous that the male baby gets the female baby pregnant while they are still in the womb?" The guy teaching B class stood frozen for 5 seconds before a teaching aide stood up and briefly said no. The look on the man's face to this wild question was absolutely priceless. He was staring off into space thinking about what he'd just heard. He was so stunned that it seemed to cause a short circuit in his brain. I imagine he spent a great deal of time pondering the question ever since, or thought babies can't get pregnant. Human ones can't, but there is a bug that is pregnant when born. One of my sex ed classes had a male and a female teacher. For some reason some kid asked how big vaginas were. The female teacher said they were about 3 inches deep. The male teacher then said, "Maybe yours is, but my wife's sure isn't." "Hey honey, how was work today?" Told a bunch of kids how deep your vagina is. "Oh, okay." In the late 90s, is there a reason that the uterus and ovaries are arranged like a Nintendo 64 controller? I died. The most compelling evidence of intelligent design I've ever seen. Not really, those controllers were awkward as hell. I asked the teacher, "Why do I sometimes get an erection even though I'm watching a baseball game?" She did not know, and the class started the bantering. Sadly no one explained nub, no apparent reason boner, to you. I had a pretty chill English teacher that gave us that acronym. Unrelated, had a hot ass science teacher in 7th grade that when asked the question, "What does sperm taste like?" she quickly said salty without think about what the reaction would be from a room full of teenage boys. I had a hot science teacher in 10th grade, I think it was. We were talking about costumes for Halloween or something. Someone asked if the teacher could wear a costume to class and she mentioned she had some Halloween costumes and could wear one. So she started listing off the costume she had and said pirate costume. A few people asked her to wear that one and she said, "I can't wear that one. It's not school appropriate." To this day I imagine her wearing a sexy pirate costume. Luckily my current wife was in that class and totally understands me wanting her to wear a pirate costume. Not really a question about sex ed, but hilarious regardless. Our health class was split by gender for one day the girls spoke about doing monthly breast examinations, while the boys were discussing testicular examinations. Just as we were getting started our teacher was holding a model scrotum to show us how to examine ourselves when another teacher came into the classroom and asked, "Whoa, what's going on in here?" Our pet teacher responds with, "Yeah man, it's nuts in here." Oh god. All we were talking about that day was how your balls could get smashed and freaking ripped apart. Bad memories. That's what they need to be teaching to the female section. The facts of how much it hurts. Can I pee on a girl when we are having sex? Well, actually, when you have an erection, it makes it almost impossible to urinate. Well, what if I don't? Can I still pee on them? Oh wow. I guess that's just something you'll have to discuss with your partner at the time. Hold on now, you can definitely pee with an erection. Said every man who has peed through morning wood. One kid couldn't wrap his head around the idea of semen and urine both coming out of the male urethra. He went on a pretty lengthy rant about it. What if you have to pee during sex, but you can't stop in time, and you pee in the girl? Does it feel different for the girl? Is she going to know if you pee inside her? Is it mixed with the semen? He seemed really worried about it. To every other 11-year-old in the class, it was high comedy. In hindsight, I think the teacher did a pretty good job explaining it. One kid couldn't wrap his head. After every class we would write down a question on a slip of paper and they would be collected in a box that the teacher would pick at random. Well, one day someone jokingly put in the question, "Is it normal for my girlfriend to have a peen? And why is it bigger than mine?" So the teacher had to explain what hermaphrodites are, or the possibility that the person in question's girlfriend had a large clitoris and that they had a very small peen. I'm sorry, but your girlfriend is a hyena. Don't make me remember that fact. My wife taught her introductory biology course for a community college in Virginia. During the reproductive section they were talking about ways that women could get pregnant. My wife brought up that, even if a man pulls out there is still a chance for the woman to get pregnant. One of the ladies in class, who already had 3 or 4 kids, pipes up at that moment and says, "You mean if my man nuts on my labia I can get pregnant?" My wife was amused by the fact she used both sexual slang and proper anatomy terminology to ask the question. I had to explain this to a buddy with 5 kids. He didn't know how his wife kept getting pregnant. This is why the world is becoming a more stupid place. For crying out loud, just get birth control pills and be done with it. It's not brain rockets. In 6th grade sex ed, a new student who had been banging one of the better looking girls in our grade stood up to ask his question. He said, "I have a friend." He emphasized the word friend, so we'd all know he was talking about himself and to show off that he was sexually active with this girl, even though we all already knew it, who had sex with a girl and now it burns when he pees. Is that normal? While asking the question, he grinned and made sure he looked around the room at all of us, so we got his meaning. The sex ed instructor said back to him, "Well, burning or stinging when you pee after having sex with someone could be a sign of an STD and your friend should go to the doctor and get tested." His face dropped so suddenly into this expression of disbelief and fear, and I, for one, couldn't hold back my laughter. Kids were having sex in grade 6 at your school? Believe it or not, yes. Even I couldn't believe it at the time. Not exactly a question, but the teacher decided it was a good idea to say you're going to hear a lot of funny words like peen, so if you can't handle that you should get it out of your system now. The thunderous chorus of peen is something I will never forget. My health teacher in 8th grade did this. He even gave an example where, in an effort to make us feel less embarrassed, he shouted peen at the top of his lungs. Shortly after, a woman came running into the classroom. I don't know if she was a teacher or other staff member, and jokingly asked why she heard somebody shouting peen at the top of their lungs. He promptly said, "Well, you came running when you heard it. What does that say about you?" Class cracked up. Damn, that's actually a pretty good one. We had paper to write questions on we didn't want to ask out loud. Someone wrote, "Is it true pussy smells like tuna?" I proceeded to completely lose it for whatever reason. I had to leave, I was laughing so hard. There was a crazy girl who went to my high school who tried to use the fact that vags smell like fish to prove That evolution was real, apparently. That smell is some ancient part of ourselves coming into the light, and isn't that beautiful, and etc. She'd always try to convince the Jesus Club kids of this, but they weren't having it. For once, I'm on the side of the Jesus Club kids. Not a question, but a demonstration gone wrong. The teacher randomly chose a boy and a girl from the class to demonstrate how to put on a condom. She asked the boy to hold the banana while the girl opened the condom and was to place it on the banana. The boy held the banana sort of drooping down, convex. The girl opens the condom and starts to put it on the tip of the banana. As she wraps her entire hand around the banana to roll it down the banana shaft, the boy slowly rotated the banana, making it point upwards, concave. That was it. The class totally went into a laughing fit. The teacher tried to scold the boy, but she couldn't contain the laughter either. We were dismissed early. But if you're doing a demonstration, why not go all the way? Why do people choose not to wear a condom? The teacher asked the student to come up to the front of the class and feel the doorknob. Then he asked the student to put on a winter glove and go feel the doorknob again. At the time it didn't make a lot of sense to us, but then we started having sex and it made so much sense. Did he also tell the student that if he didn't wear the glove he ran the risk of getting the door pregnant? No, but he did theorize whether or not a body could die with an erection and keep that erection. This was before the days of the internet. Do you just leave it in there, or do you wiggle it about? You do the hokey pokey. If you're kinky, you follow it up with the chokey smokey. An old college biology prof once told me that in one of his classes, they were doing the reproductive system, and he was rattling off the various parts. He listed the vag, and then went on to others. A student in the back raised her hand, and said, "Excuse me, the giant what?" Ever since then, he was called the giant what by the other bio profs. The giant what. For some reason, my high school health class was held in a classroom called the fishbowl, because there were two giant walls of windows that looked out into the hallway, like floor to ceiling. On the day we watched the video about how to self-test for testicular cancer, the governor and a group of foreign diplomat people from our sister cities were visiting. They walked by, just as the bombastic voice of the announcer repeats, "Roll the testicles, roll them, roll them." There were various reactions from the group and our principal, and then everyone burst out laughing when one very innocent girl raised her hand and said, I don't think I have those parts."